Welcome back, Uplifting Life Partners, to Marriage Mastery Uplifters Podcast, cultivating extraordinary connections. The podcast dedicated to helping you build a stronger, more joyful, and resilient marriage. I'm your host, Ron Simplified Myers. Let's ignite possibilities together. Well, this is our Self Love Wednesday episode, and today it's a day dedicated to nurturing the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. Because let's be honest, you can't pour from an empty cup. And a well-nourished self is the foundation for a truly flourishing marriage. So today's topic is one that many of us find incredibly challenging, yet it's absolutely vital for our well-being, our energy, and surprisingly, even our relationships. It's the gift of boundaries. Learning to say no and protect your energy and well-being. See, we live in a world that constantly demands our time, our attention, and our energy. From work obligations and family requests to social invitations. And in today's culture, digital distractions. It can feel like everyone and everything has a claim on us. And for many, especially those that are people pleasers or who fear disappointing others, saying no, it feels like a betrayal. It feels selfish. It feels unkind. But what if I told you that saying no can be one of the most loving things you can do, not just for yourself, but for your marriage and your loved ones? What if no is actually a yes to your peace, your sanity, and your ability to show up as your best self? Well, that's what we're exploring today. We're going to uncover what boundaries truly are and what they're not, why setting them is so difficult, the impact of undefined or non-existent boundaries on your energy and your relationships, practical strategies for setting clear, kind, and consistent boundaries, and how to protecting your energy ultimately enriches your marriage. So let's dive in. Let's start with a fundamental question. What are boundaries? See, many people think of boundaries as walls, as something to keep others out, or as a way to be rigid or unfriendly. But that's a misconception. Let's think of boundaries less like a wall and more like a fence with a gate. A fence defines your property line. It tells you where you begin and where others end. It establishes what you're responsible for and what you're not. And the gate, that's your conscious choice about who, what, and when you let in and how much access they actually have. So boundaries are essentially guidelines, rules, or limits that you establish for yourself regarding how you will allow others to behave towards you and how you will behave towards others. They define what you're comfortable with, physically, emotionally, mentally. What you're willing to accept in terms of time, energy, communication, behavior. What you need to feel safe and respected. So let's talk about the different types of boundaries. Physical boundaries, that's personal space, touch, privacy. This is the one I personally work on because I come from a family of huggers. And there are those who will get offended immediately or they'll jump because they don't hug or they don't believe in physical contact. For whatever reason, that's their boundaries. Emotional boundaries, not taking responsibility for others' feelings, protecting your emotional energy, not engaging in toxic emotional dumping. Time boundaries, saying no, respecting your schedule, not letting others monopolize your time. As the saying goes, if you don't take control of your time, others will use it for you. How about energy boundaries? Protecting yourself from the energy vampires, limiting exposure to draining activities or people. This one takes real focus because sometimes there are people that play a major role in your life. So how do we handle this? Now I'll share a story about a family member that I was about to cut out of my life. Every seminar and most gurus teach that you cut negative people out of your life And folks, I was in the process of cutting this person out. So one day I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for the day, and I thought about that person. I thought to myself, well, I can't go over there because they're not in town. Then a thought popped into my head from a book that I had read. It says, everything will die or break depending on what it is. Now, I didn't kill them, but I did think, what would life be like if I could never see them again? Now, understand, this is a person that if you say red, they say blue. You say blue, they say red. It's like they thrive or they get their significance by taking the opposing side on every conversation. And I realized for me, it's not a thing of having to be right or be wrong. It's the sharing of opinions, even though for them, they just want to oppose everyone. Now, if you follow what I just said, you heard where my phrase come from that I now share on my clothing line inside our online store. And it ain't right, it ain't wrong. It's my opinion. That's where it came from. But that new insight changed my relationship immediately. And I was able to appreciate the relationship. Now, don't get me wrong. They still oppose everything. I just don't join in most of those conversations. Now, how about material financial boundaries? Lending money, sharing possessions. Now, I have a rule in the area of loaning money. When I loan money to people, I treat it as charity from my charity jar. I put money aside for charities, and that's where those loans come from. This way, our relationship isn't destroyed when they take forever to pay the money back. Or they act like they were never given any money, or they just don't pay it back. This way, it doesn't affect the way I see them or our relationship. Now, I'll also say be very careful here in this area that you don't allow people that are users to use you. How about intellectual boundaries? Respecting differing opinions, not allowing others to invalidate your thoughts. This is where that saying it ain't right, it ain't wrong, it's my opinion, it really plays a major role. Remember, we come from different places in every area of our lives, and everyone will not see the world the same. Thank goodness, because we couldn't grow as a world if we all thought the same. So the key takeaway here is that boundaries are self-respect and self-preservation. They're not about controlling others. They're about controlling your response and your availability. So, if boundaries are so beneficial, why do we find them so incredibly difficult to set and enforce? Well, most of us struggle with boundaries because of deeply ingrained beliefs or past experiences. We might have learned or been taught that saying no is rude, selfish, and unloving. We might fear rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. We might even believe that our worth is tied to how much we do for others. Let me repeat that, because this is huge and true for many. We might believe that our worth is tied to how much we do for others. Why? We're part of a culture that makes us believe that it's only about doing for others. If you put you first, then you are self-absorbed. Nothing can be further from the truth. I teach and I believe the only person that has been with you and will be with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the day you're born to the day you die, it's you. And if you don't value yourself, how can you expect others to respect and value you? Self-absorption is when you believe the world's job is to cater to you and you look down on others as if they are beneath you. That's something I don't believe in and I will never agree with. And while I'm on this, let me throw out my pet peeve, and that's money does not make a person valuable and better than anyone, even though our society teaches it and treats people that way. Let me leave that there. That's a whole nother conversation. Bottom line, and the truth is, a lack of healthy boundaries comes at a very high cost. Let's think about it. Burnout and exhaustion. Constantly giving, doing, and accommodating without replenishing your own reserves. Tony Robbins teaches what he calls the hour of power, where he says you should take an hour a day to devote to yourself. Now, folks, there's 24 hours in a day. You should never apologize. Again, never apologize for taking one of those for yourself. If you don't, you get to this next point, resentment. You start to feel bitter towards those you're helping because you feel taken advantage of or unappreciated. This resentment will spill over into your most important relationships, including your marriage. Loss of self. When you're always prioritizing others' needs, you lose touch with your own desires, values, and identity. Who are you, really, when you're not defined by what you do for others? This is why I don't buy into the dangerous belief that some share, and that is a wife's job is to cater to her husband. No human being was created to cater and give up their entire life for someone else. This is not to say that things don't happen in life where people need additional care because of physical abilities. It could be their age, but those are different conversations. How about anxiety and stress? The constant pressure to meet external demands creates a perpetual state of stress. Strained relationships. Ironically, weak boundaries often lead to worse relationships. People may inadvertently push past your unspoken limits, or you might withdraw emotionally because you're so drained. In marriage, this can lead to imbalances, unspoken expectations, and a feeling of being unheard or unvalued. Now, I want you to reflect for a moment. Where in your life do you feel the most drained? Is it a particular relationship? A specific type of request? Often, those are the areas where your boundaries are weakest or non-existent. So, this leads us to the heart of today's episode. How to begin reclaiming your energy and well-being by establishing clear boundaries. As that old saying goes, this is where the rubber meets the road. So learning to say no isn't about being confrontational. It's about being clear and respectful, both of yourself and of the other person. Here are some practical steps and phrases you can use. Stop, breathe, and tune into yourself first. Before you respond to any request, pause. Check in with your body. Do you feel a knot in your stomach? A sinking feeling? That's your intuition telling you something. Ask yourself, do I genuinely have the time and energy and desire to do this without compromising my well-being? If the answer isn't a clear yes, then it's a no. If you have to talk yourself into it, then the answer is no. Be direct and concise. You don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation or an apology. A simple, clear no. That's enough. Instead of, oh my gosh, I love to, but I'm just so swamped right now. My dog needs grooming, and I promised my aunt I'd call. Try. Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't take that on right now. Use I statements. This keeps the focus on your needs and prevents blame. I don't have the capacity for that right now. I'm not comfortable with that. I need to protect my evenings for family time. Offer alternatives. That's an optional and only if you mean it. If you genuinely want to help but can't do what's asked, offer a smaller alternative or suggest someone else. This shows goodwill without sacrificing your boundaries. I can't help with the whole project, but I could offer feedback on the outline. I can't commit to weekly meetings, but I'm happy to do a monthly check-in. I can't babysit on Saturday, but have you tried such and such? Buy yourself time. If you feel pressured, it's okay to say you need to think about it. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. I need a moment to consider that. I'll let you know tomorrow. Folks, please let them know tomorrow. Be a person of your word and integrity. You know I'm very strong on integrity and character. So practice. Start small. Practice saying no to less significant requests. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. An example, no thank you, I've had enough. That's when you're offered more food. Folks, when people say no to food, quit quizzing people by asking, you sure? Are you on a diet? Accept the no. Another example, I appreciate the offer, but I'm actually looking forward to a quiet evening. Now that's a response to an unexpected invitation. Anticipate and prepare. If you know certain situations or people consistently overstep, plan your response in advance. Now, let's bring this home to your marriage. Boundaries within a marriage are not about creating distance. They're about creating safety and respect. Time boundaries with spouse. This is huge. I share with people that if you had a rough day, stop at a park or somewhere and allow yourself to decompress. Don't bring that home. Your family deserves better. If time forces you to go directly home, communicate with your partner. Honey, I love spending time with you, but I need 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes alone to decompress before we talk about our day. Now, as a partner, if you guys have little kids, you may have to step in and tell them, we will allow dad, mom, a few minutes to unwind. Emotional boundaries with your spouse. I hear you're upset and I want to support you, but I can't be responsible for your happiness. Let's talk about what we can do together. Or, I need to take a break from this conversation. It's getting too heated. Let's revisit it in an hour. Energy boundaries with spouse and family. I know everyone wants me to organize the whole family reunion, but I'm only able to handle the catering this year. Remember, healthy boundaries in a marriage ensure that both partners, their needs are met, that neither person feels resentful or taken for granted, and that each individual maintains their sense of self within the partnership. This allows you to show up as a whole, happy person, which is the best gift you could give your marriage. I want to take a quick moment to stress that men do need this also. And I'm only commenting about this because I heard a gentleman that's well known, well respected, an icon in the social media arena, has books out. He made the comment, no one cares that you had a tough day or how hard life is. As a man, you need to suck it up, make it happen. No one cares. I believe that is lousy advice and a dangerous belief to teach. That thought process is why men commit suicide so much more than women. We have to quit acting as if men are not human and are immune to feelings. So, you started saying no. You're protecting your energy. What happens then? The ripple effect is profound, especially in your marriage. More energy for what matters. When you're not depleted, you have more emotional, mental, and physical energy to invest in your spouse, your children, your passion, and the things that truly light you up. How about reduced resentment? When you're not constantly sacrificing your own needs, that resentment starts to fade. You're no longer blaming your partner for your exhaustion. How about improved communication? Setting boundaries requires clear communication. As you practice the skill, your overall communication in your marriage, it'll likely improve. You become better at articulating your needs and listening to your partners. Increase respect. When you respect your own boundaries, others, including your spouse, will learn to respect them too. It is true, you teach people how to treat you. Greater authenticity. Living within your boundaries allow you to live more authentically. You're not pretending to be someone you're not, or saying yes when you mean no. This deepens intimacy and trust in your marriage. Modeling healthy behavior. If you have children, you are modeling invaluable self-respect and self-care for them. They learn that their needs matter too. So the gift of boundaries truly is a gift you give to yourself, but its benefits radiate outwards, transforming your entire life and most certainly enriching your marriage. So this week, I challenge you to identify just one area where you need to set a clear boundary. Maybe it's saying no to an extra task at work, or declining a social invitation you don't genuinely want to attend, or even set a boundary with your spouse about screen time before bed. Start small, be kind to yourself, and celebrate every time you honor your energy. Remember, mastering your marriage begins with you mastering yourself. And a crucial part of self-mastery is understanding your limits, honoring your needs, and bravely, kindly saying no when necessary. It's not selfish. It's essential. Folks, I want to thank you for joining me today on Marriage Mastery Uplifters Podcast, Cultivating Extraordinary Connections. And we'll be back next week for another Self-Love Wednesday episode. Until then, keep building, keep loving, and keep mastering your marriage, one intentional step at a time. For more exclusive training, the deeper dives, behind the scenes content, our books, video series, and the Simplified Uplifters Apparel, which is our online clothing store, make sure you download the Simplify You app today. It's our one-stop shop for all of our resources. It's located inside of Google Play or the Apple Store, and it can be found as Simplified You. The U stands for Uplifters. So it's Simplify You, the letter U, or you can use the website, simplifieduplifters.net, which is a duplication of the app. Again, that's simplifieduplifters.net. And if you found some value in today's episode, we'd also appreciate you sharing this episode and the podcast itself with those that you know need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Marriage Mastery Uplifters podcast so you don't miss our upcoming Marriage Builders Sunday, where we'll explore how these individual strengths come together to create an unbreakable bond. Thanks again for joining me on this transformative Self-Love Wednesday. Until next time, nurture your soul, protect your energy, be kind to yourself, and build the marriage of your dreams. Most important, remember your power. You are extraordinary.